Okay, so you want to own a shopping mall. It sounds like the ultimate symbol of wealth. A massive building packed with famous brands, thousands of shoppers walking through polished corridors every day, restaurants filled with customers, luxury stores selling expensive products, parking lots packed from morning until night. On paper, it looks like one of the easiest businesses in the world. Build a mall, rent out the stores, collect the rent, and watch the money arrive every month. Now imagine this. You own a regional shopping mall valued at $200 million. Your tenants collectively generate more than $500 million in annual sales. Every weekend, more than 50,000 people walk through your doors. The property looks busy, the parking lot is full, the restaurants have waiting lists. From the outside, everyone assumes you're making a fortune. But here's the part almost nobody understands. Your mall can look incredibly successful while quietly losing millions of dollars every year. Read that again. A full parking lot does not guarantee profit. Crowded hallways do not guarantee cash flow. Even record-breaking retail sales do not guarantee that the owner makes money. Because the business of owning a shopping mall is not the same as the business of selling products. The clothing stores are running one business. The restaurants are running another. The cinema has its own economics. The supermarket has a completely different financial model. Your job is something else entirely. You're managing an ecosystem where hundreds of businesses must survive long enough to keep paying you. And the moment even a few major tenants disappear, the entire financial machine begins to unravel. That's because the biggest expense inside a shopping mall isn't electricity, security, or maintenance. It's vacancy. One empty storefront reduces rental income. Several empty stores reduce customer traffic. Lower traffic hurts the remaining tenants. Those tenants negotiate lower rents or leave entirely. Suddenly, a property that once looked unstoppable enters a downward spiral. That downward spiral can destroy tens of millions of dollars in value. The real business isn't collecting rent. It's preventing that spiral before it ever begins. Now here's where the mental model breaks down. People talk about shopping malls as if they're all the same. They aren't. Buying a neighborhood retail center is nothing like owning a regional mall, and neither resembles operating a luxury super-regional destination. They may all have shops, but financially they're completely different businesses. Let's start with the smallest tier. A neighborhood shopping center usually serves one local community. It might have a supermarket, a pharmacy, a few restaurants, a gym, and several service businesses. Depending on the location, purchasing one could cost anywhere from $10 million to $50 million. These centers rely on convenience rather than tourism or luxury shopping. Foot traffic is predictable, but rental growth is often modest. Move up to a regional shopping mall. These properties typically contain 100 to 200 stores, multiple restaurants, entertainment venues, and several large anchor tenants. Acquisition prices commonly range from $100 million to $500 million. Operating budgets become dramatically larger because security, maintenance, marketing, cleaning, and management all scale with the size of the property. Then you reach the super-regional tier. These destinations attract visitors from across entire metropolitan areas. They often include luxury retailers, hotels, office space, apartments, cinemas, and premium dining. Building or purchasing one can require well over $1 billion. At this level, you're no longer operating a retail property, you're managing a small economic city. So far, so good. But here's the catch. The larger the mall, the more dependent it becomes on a handful of critical tenants. Losing a small boutique is inconvenient. Losing a major department store that occupies 200,000 square feet can permanently change customer traffic patterns throughout the entire property. That's why experienced investors don't simply ask, how big is the mall? They ask, who brings customers through the doors? How long are their leases? What percentage of income comes from the top 10 tenants? Then what happens if one of them leaves? Because size creates prestige. Tenant quality creates stability, and stability is what ultimately determines whether a shopping mall becomes a reliable cash-producing asset or an extraordinarily expensive liability. Now comes the part that destroys most investment fantasies. Buying a shopping mall is only the admission ticket. Keeping it operational is where the real spending begins. Suppose you acquire a regional shopping mall for $200 million. Most first-time investors assume the purchase price is the biggest expense. It rarely is. Before the first rent check arrives, you'll spend millions more on legal fees, due diligence, financing costs, environmental inspections, engineering reports, and property upgrades demanded by lenders or local authorities. Then the operating costs begin. Every day, the air conditioning must cool millions of cubic feet of space. Thousands of lights stay on for long business hours. Escalators, lifts, automatic doors, and ventilation systems require constant servicing. A single equipment failure can affect dozens of tenants within minutes. Next comes security. Large malls employ teams of security officers, surveillance operators, and emergency response personnel. Add cleaners working around the clock, landscaping crews, maintenance technicians, electricians, plumbers, and property managers. Payroll alone can consume millions of dollars every year. Now add insurance. A shopping mall needs extensive coverage for property damage, liability claims, natural disasters, business interruption, and public safety risks. One major accident or severe storm can trigger claims worth millions of dollars. Read that again. The bills continue whether customers show up or not. Then there are the hidden capital expenses that almost nobody talks about. Roofs wear out, car parks need resurfacing, heating and cooling systems eventually require replacement. Fire suppression equipment must meet updated regulations. Electrical infrastructure needs modernization. Even decorative renovations become necessary because an outdated mall quickly loses shoppers to newer competitors. So far, the numbers keep growing. And here's the uncomfortable reality. Most of these costs cannot be delayed without consequences. Ignore maintenance, and tenants begin complaining. Delay renovations, and customer traffic slowly declines. Reduce security, and both shoppers and retailers lose confidence. The biggest financial mistake isn't underestimating the purchase price. It's underestimating everything that comes after the purchase. Because owning a shopping mall isn't just buying a building. It's accepting responsibility for a living piece of infrastructure that demands investment every single day, whether the economy is booming or falling apart. Now, here's the question that separates casual observers from serious investors. If maintaining a shopping mall is so expensive, where does the real money actually come from? Most people think it's simple. Stores pay rent. The owner collects the money. End of story. Not even close. The smartest mall owners understand that rent is only one layer of the business. The real profit comes from controlling valuable space and making every square foot produce as much income as possible. Let's start with base rent. Every tenant signs a lease with a fixed monthly payment, creating predictable cash flow. But many leases include something even more valuable: percentage rent. Once a retailer's sales pass an agreed threshold, the mall owner receives a small percentage of every additional sale. Suddenly, your income grows when your tenants succeed. Then come the common area maintenance charges. Tenants don't just pay for their own stores. They also contribute toward cleaning, security, landscaping, lighting, parking, and building maintenance. Instead of carrying every operating cost yourself, much of the expense is shared across dozens or even hundreds of businesses. Now add advertising. Digital billboards, promotional displays, event sponsorships, holiday markets, product launches, and pop-up stores all generate additional revenue without constructing a single new building. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine every square foot of the mall is a small employee. One employee earns only base rent. Another earns base rent plus percentage rent. Another generates advertising income. Another hosts a seasonal kiosk. Another produces parking revenue. Individually, each employee contributes a little. Together, thousands of square feet quietly work every day to maximize the property's cash flow. Read that again. The building isn't your product, the space is. That's why experienced operators constantly measure sales per square foot, rent per square foot, occupancy rates, and customer traffic. Every decision aims to make existing space more productive instead of simply making the mall larger. Because adding another 100,000 square feet is incredibly expensive. Making your current 100,000 square feet earn 10% more is often far cheaper and dramatically more profitable. The best shopping mall owners don't build wealth by collecting rent. They build wealth by turning every empty corner into another source of income.